Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to The Medium by Design. Today is a story about my history going back to the early 90s. I got up today and I pulled out a cassette, and for those of you that are younger, you may not even know what a cassette is. It was a barbaric way to do your recordings, mostly for music, but also for voice. And I actually used a cassette recorder to make the recordings of my readings when I first started. So I got up today and there was a beautiful singer I met in the early 90s. And it was at a fair, and I was doing readings at that fair. And it was in Rochester, New York. I used to work for a beautiful spiritual group up there at the Geneseo College. I taught there a couple of years and was very connected to some beautiful people. Also Canadians. I was connected to Canadians back then. Beautiful healers, wonderful people, wonderful tribe. So at the fair, I was walking around and I met this singer, and she was singing there with her guitar. She reminded me so much of Carly Simon. I thought she was just beautiful. Her smile, I can't even tell you, because I all the memories came flooding back when I put her cassette album on and remembered that voice and remembered meeting her. But the message today is about how deeply we can touch people. And as a medium, whether I want to or not, it happens many times out of the blue. And this story is so profound and so beautiful, and has a follow-up story too. So after she finished her song, she started chatting with me. She was a lovely person, just as beautiful as her angelic voice. And her name is Connie Deming. You can look her up. She's still alive. She still sings. Everybody loves her. I've seen people comment about her online. She is wonderful, and she has multiple albums. And she's up in Rochester, New York. Connie Deming, 1M. So I'm talking to her, and she's telling me about her autistic son. And I believe he was 7 or 9. I'm not sure. I can't exactly remember. Maybe 7. And then the follow-up happened when he was 9. So she's telling me about her autistic son, and he cannot communicate. He's extreme on the spectrum, and he can't talk, and he doesn't know how to communicate to her. And it's been 6 or 7 years of his life, total struggle trying to understand his needs. So she really had to develop mother's intuition to know what this child needed. So she's telling me the story, and all of a sudden I start talking. The download comes, and back then we didn't call those downloads. That's a new made-up, man-made term, right? Now that's what we call it. But back then it would be this stream of consciousness that came over me, and I simply said to her, in about 6 months, you're going to be able to communicate very clearly with your son. Just be very patient and be very open. It's going to come. I don't remember anything else I said, but I remember that distinctly. And Heather would say, he remembers, he's got such a great memory. Well, some days I don't feel like I have any memory at all, but certain things I do, it comes right back. I remember the day, I remember her voice, I remember how beautiful it was that day, the sun shining. I remember the conversation, and I remember what I said. So I was still involved with the spiritual group up there, and I went back. I can't remember exactly when it was. I don't remember if it was a year later or 2 years later, but I'm feeling it might have been 2 years, because I think he was 7, and then I went back when he was 9. And I actually knew where she lived, and I went to her apartment, and she invited me in. She remembered, and the message that I gave her had come true. He had learned how to use a keyboard, and it was, I don't even know what words can you say when a mother can finally make her son and each of them make each other understand each other. I mean, I really don't know how to describe this. and that I was a part of that process and her getting ready for that day. So I walk into the apartment. Now it gets funny, you know, there's many times there's humor. So I walk into the apartment and she calls her son. I believe his name is David. And she calls David, and all of a sudden David comes running. It was what we used to call railroad apartment. It was a long, narrow apartment. And he comes running out of somewhere, completely nude, and he jumps into my arms and he's hugging me. Now, I never met this child before, right? So of course I feel the love of this kid, and he's nude in my arms, and it's really funny. And I said, I don't know what's going on here, you know? And he's yelling, kind of gesturing to his mother to get this keyboard. And he types on the keyboard, "I love you." I mean, tell me it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, really. So he types, "I love you," and I get all emotional. And she says, he remembers, he knows you. His soul knows you. And I was like, oh my God, this is why I'm alive. And today I got to remember all of that. I looked her up on Facebook. She hasn't answered me yet. I found the pictures of when we first met. I sent them in a private message. I can't wait to talk to her. I want to know what's going on. It's all these years later. What is this? What would it be? 32 years? 31, 32 years? So I met this woman when I was just starting out. And I was still willing to do psychic fairs, which I don't do anymore. So I just wanted to share the profoundness of how you can touch somebody in a moment that wasn't planned, that wasn't calculated, that wasn't on your agenda, and really, really touch people deeply, and vice versa. That she touched me with her voice and her spirit, and then that son of hers, he touched me so deeply back then, and I still tell this story on occasion. It's not like I ever forgot it, but today I got to reminisce about her music. So if you don't think you have purpose and you don't think there's anybody to touch in this world, just ask your spirit, can you show me an experience like that today? Can you help me to touch somebody or get somebody to touch me in this kind of profound way? Because whether you believe it or not, we are very connected. And that's my story for today. And I'm sticking to it because it's one of the most beautiful stories I have. And I've got thousands of them. And I hope you have a blessed day. And don't forget, like these videos, subscribe, and share. Those are the 3 basic free things you can do. And if you want to go further, my email is below. And you can text me, you can email me and talk to me. Tell some stories in your comments about how Spirit brought you together with somebody special. Share the light, share the love, keep it going. If there was ever a year we needed more love, it's this year. So remember, there's more to come on The Medium by Design.